So when I say GOAT, who comes to mind for you?
I would say Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, actually, you know what? The subject matter? Yeah, definitely. Ayrton
Yeah, yeah,
Senna?
but okay, but yeah. I mean, I mean, you know that my favorite driver is like Sebastian Vettel,
Yeah.
but he, Senna, like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has, you know, what a GOAT is in their opinion. Like, of course, Senna, John Cena, Michael Jordan, LeBron James.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, today we're talking about Senna, the new Netflix show dedicated to Ayrton Senna, and it's definitely a love letter to him and his career and the majority of F1 culture. Hello, everybody. I am Enzo, and this is the Geeks and Degenerates. This is my forever co-host Jum, and I'm gonna ask a different question than my usual. How did you get to this?
Hmm.
How did you become a fan of F1?
Well, I've always been a fan of like cars and all that stuff, but like after watching Initial D, I didn't really have much of like, oh, there's no other street racing anime out there, except for like movies like Tokyo Drift.
Yeah,
But of course, you kind of need more media than that.
yeah,
Like I got into Rally, I was like, cool, this is kind of cool. And then I started seeing like recommendations for Drive to Survive on Netflix. So I'm like, you know what, let's give it a shot. And I got hooked onto the drama. Like I finished it within a week. That's how hooked I was. I was unemployed at the time. And I just kept going and I finally caught up and then yeah, like I just started doing research and then like I got my favorite driver, like Sebastian Vettel, did research on him, got the whole background check on everything. And I love the sport. I really do. I'm getting a sim racing like thing because of it too.
damn.
So like, yeah,
Uh, yeah, I got into it because you wouldn't stop pushing down Drive to Survive. Great show, but like I was like just an innocent boy knowing nothing of cars, and then you were like Drive to Survive. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. Jesus.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean honestly, I watched Rush before this, and I
Hmm.
really do like that movie, knowing nothing about James Hunt and Niki Lauda, but I do love that movie, and like I think
Hmm.
it's extremely underrated too. But like I think that was like my first dip into like, yeah, this culture is cool, and then Drive to Survive with all the drama that's happening, or it has happened, or is happening now. It just got me more into it. But yeah, when I heard they were making a bio series about Ayrton Senna, I was like, damn, I hope they pump
Hmm.
as much love into the show because he definitely deserves it. Like he deserves nothing but the best.
I agree, and in my opinion, they did pump as much love as they could
Yeah,
into the show. Like they really brought back his old McLaren. You see like the Tolman, the Lotus that he drove.
yeah,
These are all practical effects. I don't know if it's like a whole rebuild in of itself, but I did see like behind the scenes where they had like a unit of F1 cars, of like classic F1 cars at the back, just in
yeah.
case this one gets broken. I'm like, not why they put the budget into it, you know? But I will say I have a bit of an opinion. They put too much love into this.
Yeah, it's a very flawed bio series. I was like, as much as
Mm,
I want it to be something perfect and like critically speaking, it's not,
yeah,
unfortunately. Like Ayrton Senna is the most developed character here. The rest are a bit two dimensional. Like maybe with the exception of Alain Prost, but like aside
yeah.
from him, I'm like, I know nothing about anyone else. It's like literally, it is a love letter to him, but like I just wish the other characters were more fleshed out.
Fleshed out.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So we're like, as we go on through the entire series, we start off like when he was in karting, and then he gets scouted out to get into like Formula 3, I think, or it was kind of this Ford F1 like mini championship.
yeah,
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, like we get to that. Not gonna lie, at the start it was okay. You know,
yeah.
he was doing well at the start. Like everything's getting intense. We're getting to see Ayrton Senna, and the actor for Ayrton Senna is just looks
Perfect.
exactly like him.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's
so
like
uncanny. I was like, Oh damn! They got a guy that can act like him and look like him. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like a 1-to-1 comparison.
Yeah, especially when you hear like old video, like they showed one at the end of this series where it's a video of Ayrton Senna,
Yeah,
and the actor talks exactly like him. And I was like, that is so good.
yeah,
Like that, like bravos, like kudos to the like the casting crew or the
the
casting
casting.
agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They also got like spot on people to do other roles, like the guy who did
Okay.
Niki Lauda. For a while, I was like, is that fucking Daniel Bruhl? And I was like,
I was
no, it's
like, I
not.
was just saying, dude, when they're at the ballroom scene and I saw the cap, I was like, I
Yeah,
was like, it's him. Only he wears a cap to a formal event.
yeah, exactly. And
It's
then
because the majority of his face is burnt, but like,
yeah.
uh,
And then they also got the guy they got to be James Hunt is pretty good as well. Like he sounds like him
yeah.
as well. Uh,
I would say Chris Hemsworth still kind of did a better job,
yeah,
but but for like Niki Lauda, Daniel Bruhl, and this actor, I don't know who he is, did a really good job playing as Niki Lauda, and like, of course, Niki Lauda is a very important figure within the sport.
yeah. Also, doesn't help that each episode ends with like a success story, even though Ayrton Senna's life is very successful. But like narrative wise, you're like, I think, let me guess what happens. He overcomes all odds, and you're like, yep, he wins.
Yep, he
Like
does.
it doesn't help. Like
Like
he
people
wins.
doubt him.
Yeah, he won his first championship in the middle of like episode 3, and I'm like, where do we have like 40 minutes left? What the fuck is gonna happen now? Oh, he gets
Right?
signed. Okay.
That was a thing that I had a problem with. The racing scenes are great, like seeing him in Monaco and everything, and
Yeah.
they even created his like perfect lap,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and like it looked great, but that's the thing. It keeps jumping in time.
Yeah.
Like I want to see majority of like his season here, his season in like Lotus, his season in Tolman, and like I get it that like the best driver wants the best car kind of deal, but
Yeah.
the transition to Tolman to Lotus to McLaren then into Williams
Was so
was a little
fast.
too. It's just too fast. That
Yeah.
it's like I didn't get to appreciate much, except for McLaren. That one where we kind of
Flushed out.
yeah they really fleshed out the whole McLaren experience, but the rest I was like I kind of want to see that a
Yeah.
bit more.
Like the Tolman segment, I felt like God was here and there for like in a blink of an eye. I'm like, oh, he won his championship. Next,
I felt so
McLaren.
bad because like the team lead is just like, look, we'll make a better car next year. He's not there next year.
Yeah. He's like, all right, next year. Where the fuck are you?
Yeah. Yeah. And then like when Tolman gets bought out by Benetton and I'm like and he goes to Senna and he's like, hey, remember me, your first girlfriend? And
Yeah.
that's your left.
Yeah. Speaking of girlfriends, like not a lot of his lovers here get flushed out as well, except maybe Shua, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like his last girl, I was like, all right, he got someone else by the end, because she
Yeah.
was in like the ceremony in Brazil, and I was like, who the fuck are? Oh, right, you're her last girl.
But she didn't really last all that long because he died like the next month they got together.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of other ladies, I don't know how I
The
feel about
reporter.
Kaya Scalderio. I was like, I feel like she's just there to like show the progress of Ayrton Senna.
Like she like yeah, that was the thing. She was the journalist that kind of covered his entire like life story.
Yeah.
So or like his entire career as an F1 driver.
Yeah.
So I guess there was a reason like she is the reason why we have these stories of like why we have these information in the show.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's still kind of poorly written.
Yeah, it's too exposition heavy of like she says something, she asks a question, but you know it's just for exposition, and you're like, oh, okay, it's for me to learn what's happening.
Yeah. And like it's I don't know. Again, it's just like I get it's a love letter, and I get it that it's just like Ayrton Senna, but we didn't get Ayrton Senna flushed out all the fleshed out all that well. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to see more flaws in Ayrton. I want to see him struggle a bit more.
Yeah.
Because he did struggle like at the start of F1. Yes, he's a really good and talented driver, but he had to get to that point. But we don't get to see him
Yeah.
get to
He
that point.
just.
Except for
Well,
maybe like a 3 minute montage, and then oh he's bad, then he's good.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah, they gave this this TV series like too much love to a point where they're like, hey, this man was a perfect man when he was just a human being.
yeah. I like. I think the better media for storytelling is that Senna documentary, which is pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
the 2011 one. Yeah.
yeah.
In my opinion, that one is like okay. If you wanna, cause this show jumps around a lot and it expects you to know what
Yeah.
happened in between. I suggest watch a documentary, then watch the show.
Yeah.
And I would say you can enjoy the show a little bit better.
Yeah.
But if you know nothing about Senna, like I was watching with my girlfriend, she was like losing it. She was like, "Why do they keep jumping?" Yeah. Anyway, uh, I would say another thing, like again, they gave Senna a little too much love to a point where they kind of antagonized other characters, like Alan Prost.
Yeah.
They made him into a bad guy as if like he's the worst thing in the world. When I was like, Alan Prost was an amazing driver, and he was a very responsible driver.
Yeah. Like it
That was
was
a thing.
too one-sided to Senna's side.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but I think it's a mixture of writing and the fact that it's only like 6 episodes that they're like we have to cut time. Netflix only allowed us 6 episodes. We obviously can't come back for season 2, so we'll just try to dump everything we can, and like unfortunately have to make something shorter than they are. So narrative wise, you're like, if yeah, you're right. If you don't know, you're like, I thought he was in trouble. What? Like the whole
Yeah.
press conference when he's like, I'm gonna stand up for what's right. I'm not gonna let people push me around. And then takes a while for him to get back in the president's good graces. But that
Yeah.
from that point to the next episode, you're like, the next episode begins and they're like, we would like Senna, please. And you're like, huh? I thought, no. But why are you suddenly good? Okay, I know why.
Yeah.
But the audio, if you watch this not knowing anything, you'd be like, damn, F1's pretty forgiving. All right.
Yeah, well, I get it that it's supposed to be like whole business thing, like oh, we can't stay enemies forever because it's bad for business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, it's just like there's no build up. That was the thing.
Yeah.
This show really lacks on build up, and I feel so like robbed of a lot more stories to be told and like a lot more emotions I would have had.
Yeah.
And yeah, as soon as we get to, I would say the last 2 episodes, yeah, this is kind of like our goodbye to Senna.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it didn't hit as hard.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, when this show began, it shows the inevitable outcome. I was like, no, God, please, I'm not ready. But, like, you're right. Like I wish there was just more episodes to flesh out Senna for us to be really attached. Because,
Yeah.
like, coming in knowing everything, of course, there's this feeling of, like, I don't want to see the crash. And they do it tastefully. They do it through, like, archival footage. And you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And you should see how much of a hero he was to Brazil. But like in terms of storytelling, I just wish they gave us more, just a bit more.
Now that you mention it, that was something they also lacked to like give information on.
Yeah,
That like they kind of undermined the how much like of a big deal Ayrton Senna was to Brazil.
yeah,
Like the amount of change that this man made to that country,
yeah,
like, was fucking crazy. And they didn't show it all that much. Like, sure, he would talk about like, oh, went to this part of town and saw the poverty and the struggle, and he didn't like that and he wanted to change. I was just like, that's great. Can we stick on this subject a little bit more? No? Okay, back to the paddock. All right.
yeah. You're like, and back to what we do well, which is the racing scenes. But like,
Hmm.
I just wish there was more human character development rather than the athlete
Yeah.
being like, yeah, he's the greatest of all time. But like, I just want to know him in his human side. Like, what was his values, his core, what was his goals in life aside from racing? Because you do get hints that he's like, I want to establish something in Brazil, so that those who are underprivileged can have a chance at life, like
Yeah.
I did. But like, you don't really see that all that much in the show.
Yeah, and I don't know. Going back to, let's say, the last episode where he's in Williams, he like three drivers already died within or got into a horrible crash. One died
Yeah.
in Imola, and I think two more drivers died within that season.
Mm.
And they're like, this is the most like deadliest season of F1. Like, and sadly, he is one of the victims to that season. Sure, they kind of build it up that like, yeah, there is something like sinister when it comes to this race. Like, yes, people kept saying yes when it should have been a no. People kept saying go when it should be stopped.
Yeah.
And like, as he goes, he drives a bit, and then we get to that famous corner where he died. And I don't know, it was just too abrupt.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the weight of losing Senna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it literally just plays out the way it does, and you're just like, yeah, I know that happens with a tragedy, but like, yeah, in any other movie that's done well, like, this would be the moment where people, like, fans would be like, no, and start crying, you know? But here, you're just like, oh, no. Okay, we're moving on. This feels like...
Well, we know it's coming.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was like, alright. But that's the thing, though. Like, I watch documentaries. I watch YouTube videos on Senna. Even I cried in those when they had really good build-ups
Yeah.
to his character and how great of a loss it was. But here, they didn't really do it that well, which is such a shame.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not quite a disappointment. I'm just like, you tried your best, you know? I don't know if I'm phantom menacing myself or I'm like, it's okay, show. You did your best. It's not as bad as I thought. It's not, definitely not bad, but not as great. I'm just like, for someone like Ayrton Senna, I'm just like, damn, you deserve better.
Yeah, you know, like if it's a send off, it should have been a better send off. But I do like his one conversation with Alan Prost where they do make up. Like Alan Prost and Ayrton Senna were like full on headbutting rivals.
Yeah.
To a point where it really like, I don't want to be in the same fucking team with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go to another team and kick your ass. You know.
Yeah.
And then he retires, and I love that scene where he's like, "Oh, you should come back. I miss beating you," you know. And everything goes, "I miss beating you," and then Alan Prost is like, "No, I have a job to do. Talk shit on you on television." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Yeah, there are scenes here where I'm like, that's pretty good. But like, it's just the pacing and like, again, the lack of freedom, I would say. I think 6 episodes is really not enough for this man's
I would
life.
say it would have fared well if it was 8.
Yeah.
Like, just a little bit more information, but a little bit more of that scene with Alan Prost and Senna, where they can make a very meaningful scene where there's no cars, there's nothing big happening, and it's just two characters being developed, being complete rivals to being friends and like respecting each other. By the way, the person who was playing Alan Prost, great fucking job again on the casting. It looks exactly like him.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was like, again, uncanny. But like, I feel like if they develop this into like multiple seasons, maybe they just have the first half be like his time at go-karting, like karting, to like maybe stop at F1, him signing at F1, and then season 2 is like him versus Prost, and then maybe season 3 is the end. So at least you get more.
I would love that kind of like situation where we had that much information on him, but sadly that's the thing. We didn't have a lot on his personal life.
Yeah.
Except for like his dating things. There's some controversy there, but I'm not gonna get into that because it's not that video. But other than that, I would have loved to have had that kind of idea where it's just seasons of him throughout his entire life. But again, I don't think people would have given that kind of information, and they would have had to stick really, really close to source material because it is about somebody's life, and you
Yeah.
can't just be like dramatize it for the sake of dramatizing it.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of like a rickety bridge, if ever they were like, hey, let's make 3 seasons of a person's life
As we
with
know,
like maybe minimal information.
exactly. But yeah, I definitely think they did the best with what they did here. And like again, not terrible, just not great. It's good in my opinion. Anything else to add?
It's such a shame they didn't give us a scene of him scolding Michael Schumacher.
Oh yeah, yeah. They mentioned his
Yeah.
name. I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna do that.
They showed him, but he's in his helmet.
Yeah.
Like I recognize the helmet. He's in the Benetton team, and I was like, can we see his face? Can we see the point where Ayrton Senna's like has his hand over his neck and just like, just
Yeah.
like telling him off for being a reckless driver.
Yeah. I wonder if they're ever gonna do a show about Michael Schumacher next. You know?
There is a documentary.
Yeah. But like, I wonder if since Netflix has like the rise to like F1 stuff, I wonder if they're considering like other drivers for like a bio series.
Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Räikkönen.
Please.
Please, like just more of those. Max Verstappen, but he's still there, so it's like I
Yeah.
feel like it's a bit.
Um.
I mean, Lewis Hamilton's still there, but I
Yeah.
think his career has been long enough to a point where like I think it deserves a movie.
Exactly. I just it's his last year at Mercedes, right?
Yeah, but he's going into Ferrari now.
Oh. Yeah.
And the season ended on my birthday too, so I'm like,
So Drive to Survive will be interesting next year. Anyway.
yeah. I mean, if you want to do a review on that, you can.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. We can definitely do one on the latest season of that. But yeah.
Hmm.
What would you rate Senna?
I would rate Senna as I would rate it a 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say that's fair because a lot of the heavy lifting comes from the cast, who was cast perfectly
Yeah.
to represent these like drivers, like again, Niki Lauda, Alan Prost, James Hunt, even like how was his name? Another Brazilian driver that had a crash.
Yeah.
He played him very well. Watch the Braun series; he's there. Anyway, and of course the person who played Ayrton Senna. That's the thing. Like it was so good. How they spoke was exactly how they spoke, and I felt like I was looking at the drivers. Like I went back in time and was looking at the drivers. Other than that, character development. Sure, some had more highlights, but like majority of the other drivers, we didn't have a lot of information on, or like they didn't develop these characters all that much. Like his parents, why he changed his name, kind of deal. I feel like that should have been a bigger deal.
Yeah.
On why he had to change his name instead of my father's name's a little too common. I'm using my mom's name. Yeah. Like again, like I feel like there should have been more meat in the sandwich, kind of deal.
Yeah. Huh.
It's a good-looking sandwich. We needed more meat, kind of deal.
Yeah.
The racing and the graphics were great. I love it that they really went back to like using real F1 cars from that era,
Yeah.
or they rebuilt some for this movie. I don't know, but other than that, yeah, I feel like it deserves a 7. Yeah, not for storytelling or pacing, but I would say for the casting and the acting and the amount of effort they went into like the practical effects and pretty much showing us the time period of where Ayrton Senna used to like rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well. Like as you said, it's not for storytelling or pacing. It definitely is the casting and the acting, and like the effects is pretty amazing as well. Like most of these actors, I'm just like 1-to-1. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is perfect casting. Like I can't think of anyone else as Ayrton Senna, Alan Prost, Niki Lauda. I mean, there's Daniel Bruhl, but like
Daniel Bruhl.
aside from Daniel Bruhl, this guy did pretty well. And like the the amount of attention and love they gave to the racetracks is pretty amazing and should be commended as well. I just wish they had a longer time or to make a longer season or make maybe at least one more season. Because I feel like 6 episodes is just too restraining. Some of the characters I could do without, like the reporter, and I wish we saw more of his mom and dad to understand why, or like how much of a character they played in the life of Ayrton Senna, aside from just being his like cheerleaders, like whatever family should do. But like aside from that, I just needed a bit more, especially with like his lovers too. Like the first one, I was like, oh, you're just here and gone. Shua was the longest lasting one in the show, and then the last one, I'm like, oh, I barely remember you as a character. Damn. But aside from that, again, it's a pretty impressive love letter. It's amazing that Netflix let this Brazilian team to tell the story, and they did what they could with what they had. But yeah, speaking of Drive to Survive, since Netflix is having the whole of WWE like come to them, they own it now. I think they're gonna make a Drive to Survive series, but with WWE, to be like,
Gotcha.
This is why we made our decisions like this, and this is why we made this guy the winner. I would like that, to see how the sausage is made in the wrestling industry,
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's any other athlete you would like to see get this a biopic on Netflix or any other streaming platform, who would it be?
Sebastian Vettel. Just imagine 4, maybe 3 years straight of his like 4-year championship reign.
Yeah.
Imagine this person being booed by the entire world, being treated as the bad guy, and he just accepted it. And then out of nowhere, once he laid his wake, he has destroyed every team. The man just becomes the nicest fucking person in the world.
Speaking of bad guys in sports, since this guy already had a Netflix special, I'd really like to see a movie or a series about Mike Tyson. I know Martin Scorsese is making a movie with Jamie Foxx as Mike Tyson, and I would like to see that, but like,
I would see it.
I just like to, see how grand this man's life is, from his beginnings when he was a killer to his controversies, especially when it comes to like
going to prison.
His fascination with ears to like, I don't know where you stop it. Maybe his cameo in The Hangover. Like if I was making a movie, I definitely wouldn't put his last match in it because it's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm trying to think who else. Ooh, Muhammad Ali. I would like to see him. Muhammad Ali.
Oh, well, I think there's like a lot of like. There was a biopic.
Yeah, with Will Smith, but I hear it's not that great. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else to add before we wrap this up?
No.
Yeah. That has been our video on Senna. What do you guys think? Who's your favorite F1 driver? Please comment down below. Mine is Max Verstappen, by the way. And you obviously can tell his... Yeah.
Red Bull boys.
Yeah, fuck yeah. But yeah, comment down below. If you like what you see here, leave a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get... I don't know why I'm stuttering. Get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see your best and funniest moments. Spotify to here's on the go. Speaking of on the go, I think that Netflix intro of this series is fucking perfect. And it just goes to-doom, and it's the F1 car.
It's the F1 car, which is so good.
Yeah. But yeah, in the video you can find me at Zoda's Voices on TikTok and Enswolf on Letterboxd. How about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me at JomJoM_ on Instagram. It is my art account. By the way, if you want to see a tribute artwork for Ayrton Senna, that you could find one there.
Oh, alright.
Yeah.
Until the next video, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.